So we'll study about file organization. We'll study about the basics of file organization in today's class. Right. So you all know that so a file is a collection of records. A record is a collection of field, and a field is a collection of alphabets and numerical values. Right. So regarding the file organization, so the easiest method for file organization is sequential organization. So in sequential method, the files are stored one after another in a sequential manner. Right. So there are two different ways to implement this sequential file organization. Right. So one is going to be the first sequential file organization method is going to be file method. Right. So this method is quite simple. Here the records are stored in a sequence, one after other, in the order in which they are inserted to the tables. Right. So for example, you have the record R1, it arrives, or you are going to insert the record R1 first, followed by R3, R5, and finally you have this record R4. Right. So you have a file pointer indicating the beginning of your file, as well as a file pointer indicating the end of the file. So whenever you are going to insert a new record, whenever a new record is inserted, it is inserted at the end of the file. So for example, you have a file system with records R1, R3, R5, and R4. And suppose you need to insert a new record R2 into the file, right? So it is inserted in sequence. It is simply placed at the end of the file, right? So in this case, the records are not present in sorted format. So here the records are organized based on the time of arrival. So there is no sequence, like no ordering is there in this case. So we call this as file method. So whenever a new record arrives, it is placed at the end of the file. Right. So the next method is sorted file method. So here what happens is that in this method, whenever a new record has to be inserted, it is always inserted in a sorted format. It is inserted either in ascending order format, or it is inserted in a descending order format. So sorting of the records may be based on any primary key or any other key. Right. So for example, again consider a file system where you have records R1, R3, R7, R8. You are expected to insert the record R2, right? So initially, similar to file method, the record R2 will be inserted at the end of the file, right? So once it's being inserted at the end of the file, so when the records are inserted at the end of the file, right, then we'll sort the records in the file so that they appear either in an ascending order or in a descending order, right? So this is how we work with a sorted file method, right? So in sequential organization, you have discussed two techniques: file method, where when a record arrives to be inserted into the file system, it is inserted at the end of the file. It is known as file method. Whereas in the case of sorted file method, whenever a record arrives to be inserted into the file system, it is being inserted at the end of the file. So once the record is being inserted at the end of the file, you are going to sort the records in the file either in an ascending order or in an descending order, right? So sorting of records may be based on the primary key or any other key attributes present in a particular file system, right?